The Suns have that much anticipated rematch, this time with the healthy version of themselves, but also a healthy version of the Dallas Mavericks to match up tonight on ABC. And kind of in that is just a big game off of names alone, but also the Mavericks have had the Suns number for quite some time now. So seeing them find a way to win with their process and dictate to the Mavericks rather than reacting to them for the entire 48 minutes is going to be interesting to watch back and forth. And in that vein, I'm going to look at some of the film from their game against the Mavericks on Christmas and just kind of look at what was going on, why the Suns struggled, why they struggled to guard the Mavericks, and how they can kind of go about doing better in both departments over the course of this game tonight. So let's dive into the film. First play here, we're going to see it right away. We got Devin Booker coming off a wide pin down. And the key in terms of everything we're looking at from the Suns as they're going against the Mavericks defense in this film session and what to watch for tonight is going to be the overload and abundance of help. Devin Booker saw nothing but bodies all day on Christmas. And as we kind of slow this one down and then just go through it slowly, just watch out as Eric Gordon shakes up and he respaces to allow for Grayson Allen to respace to that bottom corner on the bottom left corner of the screen. Look at the help that Devin Booker is seeing. This is an empty corner pin down, and look at where the help is. They got Dante Exum that's guarding Grayson Allen, who's respacing to the opposite corner of the action, peeled in literally right under the basket as low help. And in addition to that, they got Lively, who's cutting down airspace on Devin Booker. And then in addition to that, this is one of the Suns' better spacing lineups that they're going to ever put out on the floor. And look at what they're doing with their help. This is Luka Doncic as well as Dante Exum, both either on the lane line or inside the lane. Both peeled in for help. Devin Booker has nowhere to go in terms of what he feels and also what he's seeing. Has to be a kick out. Grayson Allen's going to miss this one. Obviously, ultimately, he's going to have a great game, especially in the third quarter. But seeing if the Mavericks continue with this type of help with Bradley Beal on the floor, in addition to the rest of the players that the Suns use in their main rotation, is going to be interesting to watch for. And in addition to that, we're going to see a little bit more of the same here as they flow through elbow. We see drop coverage. He gets Exum in jail. But again, as I pause it here, look at the help. Tim Hardaway Jr., who's guarding Grayson Allen at the top left corner of the screen, is peeled all the way in on help. And in addition to that, at the bottom of the screen, look at Eric Gordon space one pass away. This is something that the Suns love in terms of their process. Any team would. But Luka Doncic is loaded up on that strong side block. This is just a perfect example of how the Mavericks, customary to them over the last couple of years under Jason Kidd, have been extremely heavy on blocks and elbows in terms of the help and shrinking the floor on star and superstar type players to make them either kick it out and play off of the catch and rotating out of there defensively, or just to have them forcing it to players that they're okay with taking shots. And early in this game, they were more than okay with Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon taking shots. A gambit that most teams are not going to be able to put forth defensively, but the Mavericks certainly got away with it on Christmas, even with the crazy third quarter that Grayson Allen ultimately had. And as I kind of bring this one back, obviously, anybody could have seen this. Devin Booker definitely has to make a more sharp and crisp pass for Grayson Allen to have the opportunity to shoot off of in this scenario. Nonetheless, you can still see how the help is just really playing with the processing of the Suns, especially early on in this game. Here we're going to see a little bit more of the same. It's a screen into a handoff. They're getting the zoom. Good job for them getting pace, getting Devin Booker off the ball and allow for him to work off of handoffs, something they tried to do in the 2022 playoffs as well before the Mavericks ultimately countered to that. We see him do a solid enough job getting a screen from Metu. This is in a small ball lineup. He's just screening space here, but allowing for Devin Booker to get access downhill. But again, looking at the spacing of the Mavericks, on the second side, Luka Doncic is a low man. He's peeled all the way in. Look, he's always 2 feet in the paint off of Josh Okogie. And in addition to that, one pass away, Nas Little is being guarded by Hardy. He's more than willing to concede help to the nail and not worry about necessarily having to play off of a rotation closing out to Nas Little for a three-pointer above the break. That's all putting a strain on Devin Booker and made the navigating of the lineups where him and KD weren't on the floor on Christmas very tough. And it was just hard for the Suns to function offensively because of the help being conceded and their lack of ability to knock down threes from the ancillary players. And here we're going to see a little bit more of the same this time with KD. So he comes off of the pin. And now we're going to see him get into an angle pick and roll, empty corner here. But look at the help and look at the support and look at how they're putting two to the ball. And we're going to pause it here. Watch at the nail as I go through and let this play finish going through slowly. Watch at the nail. Look at Tim Hardaway Jr. Look at how more than okay he is with conceding this help off of Chimezie Metu, who's spacing eventually to the 4-point line as he respaces when Durant gets the touch, and then ultimately goes all the way to the opposite side of the floor from where Kevin Durant is. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is absolutely okay with this. He hasn't even flinched to even look to see where he is. Didn't even check to see if he was going to cut. He didn't care. He was conceding all of this help to shutting down the primary action with KD having the ball in his hands without Booker on the floor, and then jamming a roller in addition to that. And the Suns are eventually going to score here, but you see how hard they had to work, bleeding away almost 23 and a half seconds before they finally had a touch inside the 3-point line, and then a touch to even get up a shot attempt. And then here's going to be a little bit more of the same. As I pause it here, look at where this help is coming from. KD sheds the initial defender, great screen from Doak, and then he's able to engage the big in Dwight Powell. And he can't turn the corner here, but that's because of them being okay with conceding this help again off of even Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen in multiple stretches over this game on Christmas. It's hard to navigate that. And KD eventually has to kick it. And as we talked about earlier with the Mavericks and their low man help, the low man is also peeled in extremely early. Tim Hardaway Jr. more than okay conceding that rotation to Jordan Goodwin. Ultimately, they're going to X out, and you see the short closeout that Chimezie Metu gets. Ultimately, not able to finish. Now here, we're going to see a little bit more, this time with Devin Booker. But again, it's Eric Gordon being conceded all the space in the world off of the low man. Again, this is good for the Suns' process, but these are the shots they're going to definitely have to knock down at a high clip and have to take at a high clip, because you know that the Mavericks are going to be doing just that on their end offensively. And then here, it wasn't all doom and gloom. There was definitely some successes that they saw, specifically speaking to the offensive side of the floor. And one of the things that came from that, where it started to see more volume, was Grayson Allen screening. And the Suns being able to do so and play in space and manipulate the space in this manner, as we see Grayson Allen burn the shore and recover that the Mavericks are trying to get into, is going to be key. It's going to be a big game and opportunity for Grayson Allen as well as Eric Gordon, for the reasons I mentioned in the first segment, but also for Grayson Allen and his ability to screen and play and pick and play, whether that's screen under, stay under, screen and slip, ghost, or a screen and then pop like we see here, and then playing off of that rotation from there, forcing a late switch. And the other thing in addition to that is his drives. And in that third quarter, we saw all of that. Grayson Allen, 19 points in that third quarter, knocked down 5 threes, and playing off of that type of help in addition to being able to score in the multiple ways he can, driving off of closeouts, giving paint touches, spacing, respacing, cutting, screening, popping, all of those things is going to be important. He was a plus 11 in that third quarter, helping the Suns come back and get into this game before getting into the fourth, and they're going to need to see a whole lot more of that going forward. And lastly, one last thing, looking at the successes they saw, a hint that's something that we're certainly going to see more of today, and that's Kevin Durant and Devin Booker as spacers. So imagine that Eric Gordon now is Bradley Beal, and he's bringing the ball up the floor, and now he's going to be coming off of a screen, and that's going to be Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on the side that he's going towards. And we talked about the help that was being conceded from the Mavericks and how audacious and more than okay they were with helping and supporting off of anybody not named Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. You put those two in the same side space, look at the driving lane that's enabled for Eric Gordon. And that's one of the cleanest looks downhill that the Suns were able to get over the course of that entire game. And then on this final rep of this segment, we're going to see Devin Booker working against ice. And look at how well the Mavericks do in funneling him, keeping him to the outer third of the floor. Ultimately, Booker's going to be able to work his way back to getting towards the middle after the roll gets through from Eubanks. But just look at how much help he has to navigate. And not even just navigate, this is looking at it from the TV broadcast perspective. Imagine you have the ball in your hands and you feel all of this help on you. That can be overwhelming at times, and that's not making an excuse for them, as obviously these are elite level players, especially speaking to Devin Booker. But it's just something that's kind of hard to navigate when you don't have the space that you're typically used to or that your lineup suggests that you would have. That's the gambit that they're going to have to play back and forth with against the Mavericks tonight. It's something that I'm looking forward to. And lastly, to close things out here, just looking at the Suns on the defensive side of the floor now, they got to do a better job with their support, their help, their rotations, the timing within it all, and just being sharp in the principles that they're putting forth. And situations like this, just not gonna get it done. Grayson Allen had a very good game, but I think everybody on the Suns in this game on Christmas took their turns having struggles defensively. And here was one from Grayson Allen, just a bad closeout, solid on his timing within the rotation, on the flight of the pass, not conceding much, getting there early, getting up a disciplined closeout on Dante Exum, but ultimately conceding the baseline because this is just not a good closeout. And he doesn't even have a chance to redirect or slow him down before Kevin Durant can make his rotation back into support. And then here it's going to be a little bit more of the same. Suns in small ball now again. And just watching for them mixing up their coverages on Luka Doncic is going to be extremely important. Whether it's just a switch that they're giving, switch and double, being directional with ice, or weakening him in pick and roll, showing extra support off of their non-shooters, sometimes even mixing in some unders. They got to just do a better job of blending in multiple coverages almost ad nauseum over the course of the game to win the chess battle that is trying to guard Luka Doncic. You're not going to stop him. You can only hope to really contain him and just make life hard on him. And moments like this where he can just come off and anticipate what coverage it is not going to get the job done. And in addition to that, the rotations, we spoke about them being sharp and rotating off the ball. Eric Gordon is not in the best of positions initially here, but in addition to that, a lot of Luka Doncic is just inevitable, but you have to be able to react better off of this pass that he's making. Now, he no-looks this pass, and that's all misleading. He's just a magician and a savant with the ball, but you have to be reacting in this situation. Eric Gordon kind of gets caught slipping here, and that's a three-pointer for the Mavericks from Jaden Hardy. And then here's going to be a little bit more of the same. I like the pressure here from Josh Okogie and him navigating that screen, being able to stay attached to the hip. Ultimately, they're going to put two to the ball, but somebody's got to be there on the catch for this roller here. They can't concede these deep to moderately deep paint touches off of the rollers, because behind that, if you're putting two to the ball and you have the players at the size that the Suns have making those rotations, it's a size disadvantage if they're getting catches this deep in the paint. So the low man is going to have to be on higher alert, which they have been since that game, but in this game, they just were late consistently. And that size disadvantage is just something that you can't do anything with if Lively's getting paint touches that late, that deep into the paint. And if you see a little bit more of the same here with KD this time, KD's late, and then ultimately he's going to see the catch take place in the restricted area before he even feels a defender. That's like a touchdown for a NBA offense. And then we're going to see one more rep with it, putting two to the ball. Again, he's anticipating that, so he's able to stretch those rotations. Got to do a better job taking the angle so that he can't even turn the corner to this extent. Nonetheless, you see the communication coming from Devin Booker in center field. And it's going to be Kevin Durant's the low man. He's going to get beat this time as well. And these are just the little things the Suns are going to have to nail in this game with the Mavericks. Opportunities there is a great opportunity for them, a great litmus test for them in terms of their growth and strengths within their offensive process, but also with their defensive process. And I'm just looking forward to seeing the back and forth and how things shake out compared to how they did on Christmas night.